Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Happy to be here with all of you. I am joining you from Ooty, Uttakamand. Today, we are here on a short visit. I just came from a Adivasi community gathering. We did Harinama Sankirtana and we discussed. I am trying to meet with all the tribals and tribal chiefs here. Tomorrow we'll be going to another place, meeting the Todas tomorrow. And we are trying to have them inspired to chant Krishna's names and hear Bhagavad Gita. I found them to be very pious in one sense, very simple also. The Badiga community. So tomorrow is Ratha Yatra here in Ooty. So since it's summer, a lot of devotees from all over come here to cool off a little bit. So I'm here and I'm trying to connect to you from here, from a guest house. There are a group of wonderful ISKCON devotees here who are endeavoring to bring Krishna consciousness to the residents of Ooty. So you may not see me with the regular lighting and the regular other contraptions, and I don't even have my system with me. But however, I didn't want to miss upon connecting with all of you as much as possible and discussing with all of you wonderful students the Bhagavad Gita's beautiful essence according to my little understanding and capacity. Om Tat Sat. We are very, very grateful to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada for giving us this wonderful understanding of Krishna consciousness through the Bhagavad Gita and its rich, wonderful purports. So, I don't know whether you remember, I'm sure you remember what we did the last week. I want to hear from somebody. You have any highlights? Anybody wants to share a highlight to set the trend? What did we discuss last session from the 7th chapter? What's the title of the 7th chapter? Okay, Shalini wants to. Go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead, Shalini. Unmute.
Guruji, I locked up late. Actually, I joined late last week, but I remember that 4 types of people seek the God. One who are sick or into problems, and one who wants wealth, prosperity, like that, something in return.
Yes.
And people who want to know about God, to know what God or spirituality is, that way, means inquisitive nature type. And another one I don't remember. 3 I remember, Guruji. 4 types
somebody wants to help.
Because
Anybody wants to help Shalini? She knows 3. She doesn't know the 4th one. Anybody wants to help Shalini? She got inquisitive. She got the one in distress, and the one wealth, and the most important one.
Knowledge.
Pardon? Sandhya wants to say something, but she's muted.
Seeking knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Knowledge, jnana. So, 4 types of people surrender to Krishna, the supreme absolute truth. And they are Artho Jignasur, Artharthi, Jnani Cha Bhartarshaba. Artha means the distressed. In Jignasu means inquisitive. Artharthi means one who wants wealth. And Jnani means one who wants knowledge and wants to understand through knowledge. Thank you, Shalini. Anybody else wants to add to the wealth that you have from the last session? Anybody would like to add from the last session? No? I presume that you had read forth the next 10 shlokas, because Krishna, after speaking about 4 types of people who don't surrender, 4 types of people who surrender to him, glorifies the jnani who is one of the four who surrendered to him. Udaraha sarva evaite jnani chu atmaiva me matam. Krishna says that all these people who come to me, all four of them are very great, are exemplary because they've chosen to come to the absolute truth, myself. But out of them, Jnani is very special because he has gathered knowledge about me. He has read the Bhagavad Gita, he has read the Bhagavad, he has read the Vedic literature. He knows about it and he has come to me to get more blessings and information. And from the platform of Jnana, he becomes a Bhakta, a devotee. In this way, Krishna goes further to explain his devotee. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadeti. Such a person, to come through knowledge to him, normally takes a long time. Bahunam janmanam ante. At the end of many, many, many lifetimes, after gathering knowledge on many, many subject matters, he finally concludes Vasudevam Sarvam Iti. Vasudeva, Krishna, is everything. And Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great, great soul is very rare. So you can understand what is the meaning of Mahatma. Mahatma means one who has got full knowledge and has gone through a long journey seeking knowledge in various levels and quarters through many, 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 many janmas, and finally has arrived at square one. That is, Krishna only is everything. So Krishna is saying, such a Mahatma is very rare. Okay? And then you see, this chapter is titled Knowledge of the Absolute. I think you must notice that. And Krishna went on to Tat Shrinu. He said, I will tell you now, you listen carefully. And he went on to enumerate something about himself also. And then he has gone into people who surrender, people who don't surrender, and then out of that, people who surrender, who is special, and what is the status of his pure devotee. Then he comes back in the 20th shloka and he talks about relative subject matters which don't point towards the absolute, which look like absolute, look like the absolute truth, which look and feel and make you think that it is absolute, but it is not. And he picks up the subject matter first of demigods worship. Do not feel bad about the word demigod because English language is not so advanced as Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, it's called Devata or Ishvara. Ishvara means controller. Devata means one of the Devas, the many. There are 33 crores of Devas. And they are all in charge of the cosmic management. They have very high positions and they are very excellent, wonderful, pious souls who have climbed to that level of piety, responsibility, to be chosen, to be appointed in one of these posts, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni, like that. These are all posts of various demigods or devatas. Hear very carefully, right? These are positions of demigods or devatas. But they also have a lifetime. Their lifetime period is one manvantara, one span of Manu. Manu, the father of mankind, and his span, 74 Divya Yugas, make one lifetime of Manu. Right? So there is a span, and all these devatas also have a lifespan, which is maybe far, far greater than the human being's lifespan, but definitely not as much as Brahma's lifespan, which we would have heard about. They are far great, but still they have a beginning and an end. In other words, they are not absolute truth, Godhead like Krishna. They are not in their post eternally. There cannot be. Like somebody who is occupying the post of Agni, after his lifetime is over, he has no more got that post. Somebody else comes to the post of Agni. So much also Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all of them. Okay, this you must note very carefully. So these are high positions for any soul who qualifies for that position. And there is qualification for that position. If you do 100 Ashwamedha Yajna, then you can qualify to apply for Indra's post. Okay, that is why Indra, who is sitting there, anybody is doing Ashwamedha Yajna, austerity now, he becomes worried about them because they will become qualified and they'll kick him out of this post. So he will try to stop them from doing it. You'll see Indra will always send Ramba, Kilotama, Menaka, somebody to drop them down and their austerity. There's a whole lot of stories you'll hear about this. So it's a very materialistic, posts, positions, power in the material world over other living entities and all that. But still, these people are great. Why? Because they recognize the supreme absolute truth, Vishnu. And they know he is the supreme. And they know subordinate to him. They know who is the supreme absolute truth. But the people who go and worship the demigods, they don't know. They are not very well informed about absolute and relative. So Krishna is now speaking about the relative. He spoke till now about the absolute. And he said, those 4 types of people who don't surrender to the absolute truth, that is to him, they may surrender to many other demigods, but to him they won't. And there are 4 who, in spite of they knowing that there are demigods, they will surrender only to Krishna. That's why they are special. Udaraha sarva evaite jnani tu atmaiva vematam. He is saying that all these 4 of them are very exalted because they have chosen to come to the absolute truth. That's me. And not go to any relative truth. That's why they are great. Right? Then he goes to speak about people who worship the demigods, worship the devatas, and what is their position. That's why this is interesting. Oh, go and open up text 20 now. Now Krishna will give his verdict about such people. What does he say? He says here, Kamaistaiste kritagyanah prapadyante anya devatah tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyatah swaya. See what Krishna is speaking about demigod worship. Let me ask Satyendra Hiren Desai to read the translation for that.
Yes, Maharaj. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures.
Okay. What is he saying? Kamaistesir Hritagyana. Hritagyana means your intelligence is stolen by material nature, by Maya. Kama, material desires. Right? Prapadyante anya devata. To many demigods, they will go and surrender. Prapadyante. Tam niyamam asthaya. Whatever niyama is there according to that particular worship, they will do that. And they will, according to their natures, worship and get some material requirement. But this is not in any way permanent. It is not permanent. Demigods will go, you will also go, your desires also will go. None of them are permanent. So Krishna goes further to the next shloka. Look at it. Yo yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya chalam shraddham tam eva vidadhamyaham. Okay, go ahead and read that. Madhavi and Tarun. Madhavi, can you read this translation of text 21?
Sorry, Maharaj, I don't have the book with me.
Oh, really? I caught you. Okay, we will ask somebody else. It's okay. We will ask Shanti Vidya Sagar to read.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I am in everyone's
You
heart.
have to mute Shanti.
I am in everyone's as he says.
We can't hear you, Shanti. You're not unmuted. Yeah, okay.
I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Shanti. I think your internet is pretty poor. Your internet is poor. Okay, Dheeraj. Dheeraj, would you like
Yes,
to read?
Maharaj. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear you? Go
I
ahead.
am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
Thank you, Dheeraj. So can you see the statement? I am in everybody's heart as Paramatma, but the demigods are not in everybody's heart. That you must understand. That easily proves who is supreme. Then none of the demigods say, I'm situated in everybody's heart, I'm assisting the soul. Okay, that's one important point. I am in everybody's heart. If that soul wants to, worship some demigod and get something material, I will make it possible for him to make his faith steady. Everything that's required for that, I will provide for him. Okay? So even when somebody worships demigods, the supreme absolute, supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna is involved. And he's allowing them to put their faith in something temporary, in somebody other than himself, in the temporary realm. Although it's not correct. But what to do? Kama ste hritagyan prapadyante anya devata. His intelligence has been stolen and he wants that. And he's showing tantrums. I want to worship. I want to get this. I want to become an enjoyer of this. So it's okay. Like a small boy is given by the parent. Okay, here, keep it, go, enjoy. I'll give you the facility, I'll give you the money. Go, I want ice cream, I want. Okay, here is the money. Go, take your ice cream. It shows how petty worship of demigod is. That the supreme absolute truth, Krishna, treats it like that. I'll make it possible for you, okay? Nice boy, good boy. Here, take ice cream. It's like that. It's like that. Yo yam tanum bhaktah shraddhayarchitum ichchati. Simply by these words, you can understand what is the meaning of God, Bhagavan, how immensely different it is. And we are speaking of demigods in this one universe that we live in. There are millions and trillions of universes. Everywhere there are demigods. The same Indra, Chandra, Vayu, another gang is there, everywhere there are. But there is only one Bhagavan for all these trillions of universes together. And there is one absolute truth, Krishna. He is speaking. He is speaking and he's telling that, okay, if you want your thing, chalo, no problem. Because this is at least in some way in keeping with my words that if you want to enjoy in the material world, follow the order I have given you. If you worship the demigods, they will give you what you want materially, and you can lead a nice, prosperous life and always perform sacrifice and slowly, gradually purify yourself to come to understand me. It's on the pathway. It's a long way to go, but it's at least on the pathway. It's like you will get PhD after about 20, 25 years, but now you're getting admitted into the second standard. It's okay. You'll make it one day. If you continue to do your homework nicely, if you continue to attend classes every day, if you continue to follow the instructions of the teacher, if you write your exams and you go to tuition and everything, definitely one day you're going to come up and grow into PhD. That's what is the meaning of this. And amazingly, he goes ahead further to say, I'm saying these things, you know why? Because our entire Hinduism is based on this. And this is what draws criticism from the Christians and the Muslims and everybody else. You guys have so many gods here. If I ask you who is God, you can never give me one word answer, one statement you don't make. And each one of you worships this, that, and you don't know what you're doing. And anytime I ask anybody, nobody's sure about who's God. It's a fact. It's a fact. So this 7th chapter is about Hinduism, but it's not termed Hinduism. But the subject matter in it is about that. And Krishna is saying it is very relativized religion. Hindu religion is not, pointing towards the absolute truth, but relativized Hindu religion is what we are following now. If you simply think worshipping demigod is everything, it's the end all and the be all. If you think, you're wrong. So you see, Krishna goes further and says, Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasya Aradhanam Ihate Labhate Chattata Kaman Mayiva Vihitan Hitan. Very wonderful. Right. I'm going to ask Sujita to read that translation.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Endowed with such a
Yeah.
faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So because I make it possible for him being Paramatma in the heart, he will worship some demigod and he'll obtain his material desires. But actually, Maiva Vihitan Hitan. Mayeva means it is me only who makes it possible for him to get these material benefits. Why? Because the demigod cannot produce it and give it on his own. The demigods are my franchisees. I have given them agency. They are my BPO, blessings process outsourcing. Any material material stuff they want, I can't deal with it. There are too many and all sorts of various desires, and there is a whole system for that. I just give the whole thing, I outsource the whole thing to the demigods. And they do the job. Of course, I am the one empowering them to do it. I am the one putting the system. It's an elaborate system in place. You do this particular yajna, you propitiate this particular demigod, and your prayer is, I want a good wife, and she should be like this, like this. You put the whole petition, you do all the austerities, penances, the homa, the yajna, and you wait for it in the queue, you'll get it. If you've done everything, fine. But this type of janjat and all, I don't handle all these material details. I outsource the whole thing to somebody. Because Krishna deals with the absolute. Relative things, he outsources it. Of course, it is under his power and under his superintendence. Okay? So he's saying, I do all these things for the living entity. I even make it possible for him to worship. By being Paramatma in the heart, I will give him what he wants. You must appreciate what Krishna is saying here and what demigod worship is, in the light of seeing it in terms of the absolute truth. We are relativizing, not we, the Bhagavad Gita is relativizing the whole worship of demigods because it's not absolute. It won't last forever, right? So then see the next sloka. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasham devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Now, in relation to the demigod worship, he'll speak about his devotee. Madbhakta yanti mamapi. Very interesting. What is the characteristic of demigod worshippers? Antavattu phalam tesham. Okay, let me ask, Girish, Sunita, one of you to read that translation.
Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet.
Okay, thank you, Girish. Look at this powerful statement made here. But even after reading all these things, we'll sentimentally go and do what we like to do. My Hinduism, what I like to do, what I have made out of the real instructions, I am attached to that only. Fanatic, sentimental, and not capable of understanding. But that's okay. If you are in that level, you will get that type of result. Antavat tad bhavati alpa medhasha. Medha means intelligence. Alpa medha means very small intelligence. He's using this word here. Can you see that? Tad bhavati alpa medhasham. Antavat phalam tesham. They will get temporary fruits. And it will disappear very soon. Again, they will do worship. Again, they will apply. Again, they'll try to get something. They have to repeatedly do it in order to replenish the stock of punya for material enjoyment. But my devotees are not like that. Madbhakta yanti mam api. Devan devayajo yanti. By worship, devayaja means worshipping the devas. You will go to the planet of the demigods in the end. And the planet of the demigods are inside this material world only. It is just a better place. Like if we go to Bombay, there is, what do you call? You go to, what is that place? Up very high cost, properties and high class living, and people who earn billions live there. Cuff Parade and what is it? Nariman Point and
Malabar Hills.
Malabar Hills and all that. Great place. You go to Hyderabad, you have Pali Hills and Banjara Hills and all those places. Very high class people live there, elite and highly rich, stinking rich and all that. But at the same place in Hyderabad, there is a Charminar Chaurasta, where you see all those guys hanging around and peddling some stuff and black marketing and smuggling and drugs and this and prostitutes, all that stuff also is going on. But definitely that's low class living. And definitely Banjara Hills is definitely high class living, right? So Devan Devayajo Yanti. Deva living is like Banjara Hills, Malabar Hills, Pali Hills. It is high class, materially sophisticated. Like, Indra has got, like I always told you, Ramba, Kilotoma, Menaka. He can just tap his hands and they'll come and dance for him. They are extremely, exquisitely beautiful. And then he drinks a Somarasa. It's a special drink. It doesn't give you a hangover the next day. It's like too good. It's much better than all the alcohol that guys have produced in this world. It's super duper intoxicant. I don't want to really speak too much about it because we may, instead of becoming Krishna Bhaktas, you may decide to go to Indraloka. I'm afraid. So I will not speak too much about it right now. In terms of sense gratification, it is amazing, the Devaloka. But it is Banjara Hills. It's the same guys who got good karma and went there. Some guy will write his life history saying, I was in Charminar Chaurasta selling beedies once upon a time. Then I did this and then I did that and climbed the corporate ladder here and then went up and did this. Finally, I became so and so. I am now in Banjara Hills and Pali Hills. It's karma. Okay, but it's the same situation. That's all the difference is. But it is not out of this material world. It is not out of Hyderabad. It's inside Hyderabad only. It's inside Bombay only. You go inside only round and round. But what you're speaking about, Krishna, Madbhakta Yanti Mam Api. My planet is much beyond all these billions and trillions of temporary places. It's completely away. Vaikunta, Goloka. My devotee will come to that place, which is far, 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 far away from all these temporary manifestations of material universes. Okay? So these are the conditions under which people who worship demigods will get benefits. And they are all material. Antavattu phalam tesham. I am talking about this because it's very common. Christians and Muslims accuse you, and our Hindus cannot give an answer properly. I have not heard a proper answer till now. They will say, no, yatomat tatopat. However you can approach, we have a wide variety of ways of approaching the truth. You can go through anything. The truth is because ultimately impersonal. The truth is just light. The truth is not another person, because persons are suffering. You see, you and me suffering with this body and this. So truth is light. Truth is this. Truth is impersonal. Truth is da 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 da. And you can approach it through all these saguna, nirguna. They got a lot of stuff to talk about. But actually, if you tap them further, they are not satisfied with this philosophy. Because everybody knows, especially the Christians and the Muslims know, how can there be, so many ways of worship for one God? They ask, and then they present it like a big tattva and philosophy, everything. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying this. So how do you answer this? These are very strong statements Krishna is saying. You guys have no intelligence, he's saying. Very small intelligence. Alpa medasham. Right? He's using strong words. Kama isteste dhratagyana. Guys stuck in the material world with a lot of material desires, they go and worship the demigods and get their material desires. They're completely blind to the truth, to the reality. They simply take birth again and again and wallow around in the same, murky water of desires. They have no idea of something absolute and greater and something wonderfully transcendental. Okay, so it's condemnation. Actually, you should not worship demigods. Actually, what the Christians say, you should not worship so many gods, is true. It's corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, nobody wants to believe this. Everybody is thinking Hindu, Hindu. What is Hindu? This what Krishna is speaking here is Hindu. That's what is the original Hinduism. Bhagavad Gita is our scripture. And look at it, he's saying don't worship the demigods. Is he not saying it? But why is everybody doing it all the time? Why? So it's compromised understanding of the absolute truth. Because he's saying, okay, if you want to worship, you worship. But it's not the stuff that's going to really help you. That's also he's saying here. So isn't Hinduism a compromised version of the understanding of the absolute truth? It is. I'm not condemning it, I'm a Hindu. But I'm saying the way we have understood it or the way we have not understood it. Okay? So this chapter deals with telling you what is absolute truth and what are all the relative things that happen. Because in the next sloka, after telling about demigods and which is relative, Krishna will go and tell you, Naham, I'm sorry, he will tell you, you'll see this. Next problem with people about the absolute truth and about God, next misconception and next fallacy is, first fallacy is if you worship any God, any demigod, it's equivalent to worshipping the Supreme and all that. It's all wrong as per these statements. Next one, Krishna is saying, Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah param bhavam ajananto mama avyayam anuttamam. Look at this now. Demigods, and the next he says, people think the Supreme Absolute does not have a personality. I don't have a personality. He has dealt with all this here. All the wrong philosophies in Hinduism that you see has been dealt with here. It's natural that people will do that, and already Krishna has pointed there are guys who will do it. Right? And he's saying it is wrong. But these people will read the Bhagavad Gita and continue to do this. That's what is amazing. They will Hinduize the whole Bhagavad Gita. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Hinduism is wrong. But the way it is understood today, they will Hinduize it. And Krishna is directly saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Look at this. Devaki, Sumukhi, Devidasi, can you please read that translation?
Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
Thank you. Next point is confirming popular understanding of in Hinduism. That is Avyaktam Vyaktim Apannam. The Sanskrit is so correct. And if you can understand the thing, it is so correct, better expressed than in English. But Prabhupada has done a wonderful job of picking it up very simply and explaining with simple words. He says that there is impersonal understanding and a personal understanding. In the 12th chapter, Arjuna will ask this question further, and Krishna will explain in great detail. The idea that God does not have a personality and that impersonal destination is higher than a personal destination, that impersonalism is more superior to personalism, is wrong. It's the other way around. Personalism, personalistic understanding of the absolute truth, is superior to the impersonal understanding. Now, it is not that God is not impersonal. God has got an impersonal aspect. Brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate vadanti tattattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam. Very nicely mentioned. The absolute truth is understood in three phases. One is the impersonal Brahman. The next is the localized Paramatma feature. And the third is the personalized Bhagavan feature. The Bhagavan feature contains the localized Paramatma and the Brahman feature. The Paramatma feature does not contain the Bhagavan feature, but definitely within it contains the impersonal Brahman feature. The impersonal Brahman feature is the least understanding of the absolute truth, but there is something greater than that, is the localized Paramatma feature, and higher than that is the personal Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth. Okay. God has also got an impersonal feature that is called the Brahman feature. Sarvam kal vidam Brahman. Everything is the manifestation of that Brahman. That Parabrahman is spread through his energy everywhere. Anything and everything you see manifested is him. It's his energy. In that way, he's impersonally standing in front of me as this computer, as this iPhone that I'm using, as this microphone, as this persons who are standing in front. All these are impersonal manifestations or energy manifestations of that supreme absolute truth. Okay, this Brahman manifestation. So in this way, the supreme absolute truth is in three features, but to understand him in his personal feature as Bhagavan is the topmost understanding. Okay, so that absolute truth includes personal and impersonal. That's the point. It's not that it's either personal or impersonal. It's both. And personal is superior to impersonal. This is the point we should understand. We're not going to fight with you if you say God is impersonal. That's one aspect of it. If just like somebody tells, the other day I was using this example about Girish and telling him that Girish will go to work, he is part of so-and-so, his wife has a relationship, and that is more important and intimate than other, and you know him as so-and-so like this, etc. So somebody says, Girish, that guy who's a CEO, I know him. That's all I know about him. He's a CEO of this company. You don't know he has got 2 kids. You don't know he's got a house in so-and-so place. You don't know he takes part in these type of things. He does charity like this. You don't know that he reads the Bhagavad Gita. You don't. I don't know any of those things. I don't need to know. I don't want to know. I just have a relationship with him as a CEO. I do some business with him and we smile and we get off. That's all I know about him. And then I will say that you don't know Girish very well. I mean, I don't care. I don't care. I need to know only this much. So he's missing out on understanding Girish deeply, because Girish has got other roles he plays, social roles. And apart from his business, he plays a social role in society. He may be doing something for society, and he may be doing something inside his family. And they are all very dear to him, and he is very dear to all of them. And knowing him like that, you know him as a loving father, a wonderful husband, is that, is this. There's so many things to know about him. But you miss out on everything if you say, I know him just as a CEO, I see him around. So if you want to understand God only in terms of his impersonal feature, you're going to understand something very less, a small fraction of the absolute truth. Now that's what is being said here. People think that I am impersonal and I became personal. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyante mam abuddhayaha. Those guys who don't have buddhi, They think like that. He's telling very clearly, he's telling the guy has no intelligence if he thinks like that. Unintelligent men, abuddhi. He's using the word, correct word he's using. How can we say no to all these things? The philosophy is clarified here. But why is every Hindu speaking this impersonal philosophy? God is velicham, God is light, God is this. You can also become God, you can merge into God. Bankam, nonsense. It's never mentioned anywhere in Vedic literature. Okay? So, this very important thing Krishna is revealing here. You must know, God has got a personality. You too have a personality that is permanent, a spiritual personality. How can God not have a personality when you have one? Are you superior to God in terms of personality? That you have it and God does not have it? It's logically wrong that you come from God and you have something that God does not have. How is it possible? Definitely, that's why he's called, you are a person, he is supreme person, because all persons come from him. All of the spirit souls, they all have personality. A blue whale has got personality, a gnat has got a personality, a mosquito, a cow, a dog, an elephant, all of them, human beings, whether they are this, like today I said, tomorrow I'm going to meet the Todas. They're called Adivasis, they got tribals, and they're separated from this thing, and they are just like you and me. They are spirit souls. They have a personality. They're just born in different material conditions according to their karma. That's all. This is the philosophy we should understand. And because they're all personalities, how can you say that Supreme Godhead from whom all these personalities are coming does not have a personality? That beats everything. So it's logically flawed to say that. What to speak of shastrically according to scripture and other things. So Krishna is defeating that argument. Brainless guys, unintelligent fellows will say that, don't listen to them. I'm a person. Why? It's very important for us to know I am a person and God is a supreme person. Because only then I can have a relationship with him. It's all about love and being loved. Everybody is hungry for this in this world. And all those relationships culminate in the relationship with the Supreme Godhead. It's filled with this love, bhakti. And that is top class experience for the spirit soul. And you cannot neglect it because you are a person and you want it. You're hungry for it. You're waiting for it. The best of all your relationships you have ever had is with the Supreme Godhead, Bhagavan. He's waiting for you and you should take it up. That's what he's saying. My devotee is different. He will come back to me. Again, he will speak now about this. Naham prakasha sarvasya. Okay, next sloka you go to. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritah mudho ayam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam. He uses the word now, mudho. Mudha means ass. Muda means donkey. Muda means stupid fellow, no intelligence. Why is God calling such derogatory words, using such derogatory words to describe some type of souls? He's getting angry. That's like the father says, okay, you won't listen to me, you rascal, you idiot, take it. Don't you say that sometimes? You see the father say, I'm saying something good to you. It's so nice for you and you'll become great. You'll do what you want. You'll get everything you want, but you stubborn rascal, idiot, you don't want to listen to me. Go ahead, do it. He's angry, right? But he's angry out of love. He's angry out of love. And the child also knows, Arey, Papa ko jara gussa gaya. He's a little hot. I've seen them discussing, hey, what happened? Old man got angry. That's the way they say amongst the generation today. They won't say father got angry. Amongst their friends, they talk, old man got angry. They say, wow, really? What happened? He doesn't agree. He doesn't agree. But anyway, I'm going to do it. I'll go back and talk to the old man. I think I'll tell my mom to talk to the old man. This is how they talk. That's how they talk. So, Krishna is getting hot with you because you're not understanding what's good for him. So he's saying, Mudhoyam nabi janati. The fool cannot understand. I'm presenting myself to you. Why can't you understand? You're a human being with brains and intelligence. Why don't you use it and understand what I'm saying? So it's affectionate mudha that Krishna is talking about. And this doesn't mean you can continue to be that foolish, unintelligent fellow. Krishna is saying, I have not manifest to these foolish, unintelligent fellows. I give them what they want. They want demigod worship. They want Brahman, this thing. They want to think I'm no personality. Okay, take it. But these are fools. Because my devotee is intelligent. He has understood my real manifestation. He has understood the absolute truth. He is doing the thing rightly. Because these fellows don't know I am unborn and infallible. Then the next one, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Because knowing me is not so easy. It's a very difficult job to know me. The absolute truth, especially for the conditioned soul in this world. He will never get to know what is real, what is the truth. On his own, he can never do it. He tries very hard through gyan, through that, through this. Somehow, because he approaches me and he seeks my shelter, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prabhadyanti, that we read. The Jnani, after many, many lifetimes, he comes to understand. But generally, Mam tu Vedana Kaschana, very difficult to know me. Look at these statements, very important to know. Understanding the absolute truth, the reality, what is true, what the hell is happening, how is it happening, where is it coming from? This is what everybody wants to know. And that, if you want to know, is not easy. You have to surrender to Krishna. Then that understanding is given to you. Then that confidential secret knowledge is given to you. Rahasyam ki etad uttamam. Did he not say that in the beginning of the chapter? He said that. This is secret. Everybody doesn't get it. Few people whom I choose to give the mercy to, they get it. They get to understanding. But the bulk of the rascals don't understand. Unintelligent. Mudhoyam nabi janati. Right? They will not understand. So imagine how rare it is to get the right understanding. To get that understanding because of a pure devotee. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada has taken it and given it to the whole world. And explained it in a manner that everybody can understand. Okay? That's our fortune. Otherwise, it's not. Vedaham Bhavisha Mam tu Vedana Kaschana. You must know this. God, Bhagavan, cannot be known. He can be known only if he chooses to give his mercy to you and you can know him. You cannot on your own through your gyan and your capacity for intelligence and knowledge capture understanding of God. No, cannot. Unless God gives his mercy to you, you cannot understand him. There is a catch in that. You may know all the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita 700 by heart, and you may be a great scholar. You may have given 10,000 lectures on Bhagavad Gita, but at the end, I can tell you, you still don't know who is Krishna. I've seen people like that. I've seen people wax and wane and talk scholarly everything, but when they lock their doors in their houses, they are victims of their senses. They cannot control themselves. They cry, they go into depression, they do all sorts of crazy things. They're addicts. And they themselves cannot understand. I am such a great scholar. I know so many things. Why the hell am I like this? It is simply because they have not surrendered to Krishna. You can take Gyan from Bhagavad Gita, but that will be plain Gyan. You need Gyan with Krishna. Then only it's proper Gyan. If you try to steal the knowledge and make it yourself and promote yourself, it will become dry. You have to surrender to Krishna and become his devotee. Then it becomes highly enthusing, rejuvenating, enlivening, enlightening, and brings you ananda, bliss. Okay? So these are mistakes that Gyanis do, intelligent people do. They say the Lord does not have a form. They have come to their own conclusion, but it is wrong. Okay? It's not so easy to understand. After saying this, he goes to the next problem that people have, the third one. First, I told you demigods. Then I told you about impersonal understanding, Brahma Jyoti. Then he's telling another thing happens to people. Ichadvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. What beautiful expressions these are. How can people miss these things out? How can they gloss over it? How can they actually skim the Bhagavad Gita and miss these wonderful instructions on the absolute truth? Anybody who's understanding wants to be promoted to the ultimate understanding should simply read the Bhagavad Gita scrutinizingly, faithfully, sincerely from the commentary of a pure devotee. And you will understand it. These are amazing statements. Krishna is educating Arjuna, and through Arjuna's education, he is educating all of us. He is very kind. He wants us to understand these things. But there's no other alternative. It's not that you can do what you want and form your own religion and form your own point of view about the absolute truth. It's not like that. Just like you heard about the 6 blind men who went to look for the elephant. And they were put right in front of the elephant, and one caught hold of the trunk, one caught hold of the tail, one caught hold of the legs, one caught hold of the tusk. And according to his own perception, he said, wow, elephant is so smooth, it's sharp at the end. The guy who's holding the tusk is giving a description of the elephant. Other guy holding the tail is saying, my gosh, these are like steel. The bristles at the end of it. And the tail is very strong. See, I can swing on it. The elephant is amazing. It's a long thing with steel-like bristles at the end of it. He can give his own description. They're all perceptions. They're all perceptions. There's one single thing, a reality there. It's called elephant. But none of them are getting it because they're all speculating. They're all sitting and speculating, isn't it? So they're all got wrong understanding. So many of them try to understand it out of my own capability. You'll end up speculating about the elephant. But if you actually surrender to Krishna, he gives you the knowledge and makes you understand that I'm an elephant. I'm not the tail, I'm not the tusk, I'm not the trunk. I'm an elephant. This is what I am. This is how I look. This is my power. These are my energies. Behold my form. In the 11th chapter, Krishna shows his form also. And then all the blind guys can actually understand. They'll open their eyes and see. Okay? So, what happens to people normally in this world? O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe. I am reading text 27. All living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate. Two things, very important, that condition us, that imprison us. Ichcha, dvesha, very common. Desire and hatred. You can see present human society struggling with it. Interreligious wars and terrorisms and striking each other. Look what's going on in Kashmir. What's going on in Pakistan, Ukraine. People hate a whole race of people. For what? What's your problem? Just because they're a different race, I want control over them, and they have control over some lands, and everything becomes different, overcome by hatred. All conditioned souls, unless they are intelligently working on it, can never overcome this. Their desire for some material enjoyment and their hatred towards others, other species, it kills human society. So Krishna is saying everybody is born into this delusion. Ichchadvesha samuttena dvandvamohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. Sarga means creation. During creation, they are all put into this delusion. And they are struck by desire and hate. We are programmed by desire and hate. And this is how we look at the world. Therefore, it's hopeless for you to on your own try to do something. So Krishna says next, actually you will not get to know it, the truth, unless you become completely free in certain ways. What is that? Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavrataha. But some are very determined. They're called dridavrata. Very, very determined, wanting to do some of these things with a purpose. Okay, can I ask Sandhya to read that? I'm reading 28.
Yes, Maharaj. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service,
With
with
determination.
determination.
Okay, thank you, Sandhya. So he's saying, well, if you have been punya oriented more, you have practically done no sinful thing because you're very well educated about the Shastra and Grantha and the books. And your sinful life has been come to an end. You no more do that. And you're freed from the reactions of sinful life. And this delusion of duality, dvandva moha, that is not there in you. Then you will engage yourself in determination in my service. When you're freed from this only, you'll become determined to become engaged in bhakti yoga, in devotional service. Right? These are special persons. And this thing can happen to people because they come across a pure devotee of the Lord. Instead of going through many lifetimes, instead of becoming free like this for this and all that, it can instantly happen to you if you come across another as good as him. That is his pure devotee. You call him a Bhagavata. In the Bhagavatam, it's described over the person Bhagavatam and the book Bhagavatam. He's a walking, moving, talking, willing, feeling, executing Bhagavata. He's completely exactly like what Krishna is mentioning. When you come across such a person, you're contacting the absolute truth because he is as good as the absolute truth, Brahman himself. That Krishna also uses the word. They are Brahman. They are as Atmaiva me matam. He is as good as me. In this chapter, he used that word. As good as me. When you come in touch with me, you'll feel the influence of me on you. And you'll instantly transform. Shushushubis takshana. That moment, you'll get association, you'll change. You'll change. So such type of people who represent the absolute truth, Krishna, when they move around in this world, they affect others with the absolute philosophy, with the absolute understanding. And the relative terminologies and the relative existence and the relative philosophies all become smashed. Absolute smashes the relative. That's the meaning of this chapter. Krishna is saying, Tashruno, hear me. I'm telling you how you can get out of this bubble of illusion. Accept the absolute truth. What is that? I am the Supreme Lord. I only need to be worshipped. And you'll get out of this temporary relative position. If you don't accept the absolute, you can never get out of the relative. It's very simple logic. You can't be in the relative and expect to become liberated. Prabhupada gives an example there saying, when you are jailed, you can't expect another jailer to free you, even if he says so. Another co-comrade of yours in the same jail, in the same situation, tells, don't worry, I'll help you to escape tomorrow. Will you believe him? Then why did you stay here for so long, boy? And if he tells you, I've made many people escape, you will ask him, how are you here? Why are you here? I won't believe that you can help me escape. Why? Because you're not escaped. But if you come from the outside and say, "Psst, excuse me, I'm from outside talking to you, I can take you out," there's a good chance I'll believe you. Because you're free and you're already free and you're trying to free me, who am not free. I'm in bondage. I can believe you. But anybody from inside this jail who's also similarly conditioned, who has got his hands tied similarly, cannot say to me, "I can untie you." You will say, "First untie yourself, man, before you can untie me. Show me that you are untied, then you can untie me." Simple philosophy. So, those type of people who are pure devotees, they are the ones who are untied. Krishna sends them to this place to untie others. That's a great shortcut. You don't have to go through many of these things. You simply believe in the pure devotee and his words and follow his order. You will get out, because Krishna will make sure that it happens. Why? Because he is my pure representative. Whatever he says, if you do, you will get out of it. And that is the meaning of associating of a pure devotee. Okay? So here, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mamashritya Yatanti Ye Te Tad Brahma Vidu Krishnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. Please read that. Who is not read? Sunita, you want to read that? We are in 29.
Yeah. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death are not clear.
Sort of. Go ahead.
Okay. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
Yes, thank you, Girija. So you see that they are entirely Brahman. They are the truth. They are the absolute. Because they know everything about me and my activities and everything about the absolute. If you take shelter of such a person, you will also get out of the temporary. You'll also get out of the temporary. It's very important for us to know. Krishna is speaking about absolute and relative and telling us how to get out of the relative and become situated in the absolute. You see, they'll say, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, asato ma satgamaya. Asat is temporary, it is not true, and sat is absolute, permanent, and the truth. How to go from the asat to the sat, how to go from the temporary relative to the absolute permanent. Because we are all permanent, we are all absolute, we are spirit souls, we are forever. We deserve an absolute atmosphere. Then only we can exist peacefully in our home ground, in our natural state. That is called Swarupa. So you must understand how this philosophy is being developed by Krishna. This is the truth. You can't try anything else. You can't try anything else and get out of it. So this is the last shloka in the 7th chapter. Sadi bhutadi devam mam sadi yajnam chaye viduhu prayana kale apichamam te vidur yukta chetasah. I will read that. Those in full consciousness of me who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Somehow, if you click the understanding of the absolute truth, Krishna, even when you are going to die, boom, you'll get the benefit. Because understanding the absolute truth is what religion is about. But most of the religions settle down to the relative. That is why Krishna is telling in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam praja. Give up all this religious stuff and all that and surrender to me, because that is the business, getting to the absolute. This is the crux of religion. So when somebody says Sanatana Dharma, this is what it means. You cannot say Sanatana Dharma and continue to worship all the demigods and say God is without a form. That is not Sanatana Dharma as per Krishna explained in this chapter. Sanatana Dharma is what he's saying here in the last chapter, last sloka here. Those in full consciousness of me, the absolute truth that is, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of this temporary, relative, material manifestation of the demigods, who are also relative, and of all methods of sacrifice, which is also relative, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Get the point? Now you know who is Bhagavan. Now you know who is God, because he is explaining himself. Don't relativize God. Then you lose him. You can't get to him. Because of your relative position, in technical language, they call it anthropomorphism. Anthropos means man. Morphism means bringing him down to your level. It's not that to understand God, you should bring him down to your level so that you can control him. That's the way science does things. I can't study anything that I cannot control. So it goes around controlling matter and then studying it. You can't understand God by controlling him. And to control God, you can't bring him down to your platform. He's also one like me. He's also temporary. He's also relative. And I become him. He becomes me. All this is nonsense. You can't relativize the absolute. It's against logic. Okay? That's what Krishna is trying to tell. Worship of demigod means you're relativizing your whole stuff. Thinking that God doesn't have a personality and is this thing, you're relativizing again. Right? So all these mistakes we do, and you can see that in not only in Hindu religion, all other religions also. The Buddhist religion even says there's no God. They simply says no God. Everything is zero. They completely miss the track. But Buddha did not say that. Buddha did not say that. That's the interesting thing. And Bhagavad Gita never says what Hindus are saying today, that demigods worship is everything. Here's Krishna telling, don't worship the demigods. You're relativizing the whole philosophy. So please understand what Krishna is trying to tell, because he will talk about this further in the 8th and 9th chapter in a very different way. He'll take you up the spiral further. Krishna has structured it very nicely. His question and answer session is answering to Arjuna. It's very interesting how he moves from one to the other to the other. Very strategic. To somebody who doesn't see his strategy, you'll just say, what? He's talking about everything everywhere. No, he's spiraling. He's giving you some understanding here and he's coming back and visiting that again and pushing you up and pushing you up. He's an amazing teacher. He's God who has become a teacher. So he's amazing in his strategy of bringing to Arjuna, who is a very intelligent person, the understanding of the absolute truth. Okay, I'm going to stop here. It's all about, the chapter is titled Knowledge of the Absolute. Any questions? I chose not to use any slides today. I was supposed to, I said, no, I'm going to ask them to open up the Bhagavad Gita and read it. Today is like real thick philosophy. And Krishna is speaking something that's important. So I want you to focus on the Gita, open it up and read it. Otherwise, I know after the session is over for the next week, you may not be reading it. No, I'm wrong. You're all good students, studious. I'm sure you're reading it every day. I'd like to believe that. Hari Bol.